Very good evening and welcome to the news at 9, coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. I'm Joel Outsgood.
And I'm Mahina Bongzo.
Well, now, what steps must and will the Sri Lankan government take following the decision to postpone the publication of the OISL report at the Human Rights Council?
What are the current positions of the various stakeholders? We have a 360-degree report on tonight's bulletin, but first a look at your headlines.
Prime Minister informs Parliament that Port City Agreement was signed without Cabinet approval. Basil Rajapaksa informs Parliament that he requires 3 months leave. Change the electoral system before the election or postpone the election, a statement from Madhuluave Sobithethera. Veeragula Gampaha named as a high-risk area for rat fever.
In your top story this evening, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe revealed in Parliament today that the agreements for the Colombo Port City project had been signed without the approval of Cabinet. He said an 8-member committee had been appointed to examine the project.
The agreements for the project have been signed without the approval of Cabinet, and at the time when questions were raised about the lack of an environment impact assessment, there wasn't a proper response. We looked into all of this. It appeared then that this transaction raises major suspicions. It became clear to us that all related reports and information had been hidden from this House. I have appointed an expert committee that is chaired by Ajit De Costa. We will study the report of this committee and conduct any further inquiries that are needed. I have also appointed a Cabinet subcommittee to take the necessary decisions. Cabinet spokesperson Dr. Rajitha Senaratne stated that we have not yet taken a decision to stop this project. We are inquiring into all aspects of this agreement. If it includes conditions that are harmful to the country, we will take the necessary steps. A final decision will be made based on the information that is revealed. That report is necessary. The President and I have held discussions with representatives of the Chinese government regarding this project. We stated that be it politicians, officials or even companies from either country, if there has been fraud or corruption, then there will be no pardon. We will not allow thievery, fraud and corruption to be an obstacle to the friendship between Sri Lanka and China.
Sri Lanka China මිත්‍රත්වයට බාධා පැමිණීමට අපි ඉඩ දෙන්නේ නැහැ.
A request was made in Parliament today to grant 3 months of leave for former Minister Basil Rajapaksa. The matter was taken up for debate when the request was made by the opposition leader.
I propose to request that Honourable Basil Rajapaksa be granted leave from Parliament for a period of 3 months starting from the 18th of February 2015. Has he left for education purposes? Is it matters relating to his health? Honourable Speaker, this House needs to know why MPs won't leave for 3 to 4 months. You cannot just send a letter stating their absence. The reason for their absence must be notified to this House as well as the Speaker as to why he left.
Chairman of the National Movement for a Just Society, Venerable Madhuluave Sobithethera, speaking to reporters this evening, emphasized that the electoral system needs to be changed before the next elections.
The most important change expected in this political transformation is a change in the electoral system. We impress upon the government that the next election needs to be conducted in a newly identified electoral system. The committee report of Dinesh Gunawardena is accessible. As an answer, they might say that they do not have time. They might say that they do not have much time to do this. Did any of us ask for 100 days? If we can wait for 36 years for the fruit to take roots, can't we wait for it to be cooked? Take 2 years. Parliament has time until April next year. We are not in any hurry. We are in a hurry to hold an election under a new electoral system. This is the struggle that the chairman of the National Movement for a Just Society brought forth. Therefore, the next election must be held under a new electoral system.
News from the President's diary. President Maithripala Sirisena returned to the island today after completing his maiden state visit to India. The Presidential Media Unit said that President Sirisena arrived in the island after engaging in religious observances at the Tirupati Kovil in India early this morning.
During his visit, President Maithripala Sirisena met with the country's Prime Minister and President as well as several other high-ranking officials. The President, who engaged in religious observances in Bodh Gaya yesterday, also paid homage to the historical Vijayasree Mahabodhi.
The United States yesterday welcomed the signing of Civil Nuclear Cooperation Agreement between India and Sri Lanka, saying it is consistent with International Atomic Energy Agency or IAEA safeguards and other international standards and practices.
U.S. State Department spokesperson Jen Psaki said at the daily press briefing yesterday that while the U.S. government was aware of the announcement of the Civil Nuclear Cooperation Agreement between Sri Lanka and India, the U.S. welcomes regional cooperation on nuclear energy that is consistent with IAEA safeguards and other international standards and practices. Meanwhile, when questioned on the agreement at the regular press conference of the Chinese Foreign Ministry, Hua Chunying, the ministry spokesperson, noted that both Sri Lanka and India are important and friendly neighbours of China. She added, quote, "We hope that both China-India relations and China-Sri Lanka relations can maintain the sound momentum of development. Meanwhile, we welcome the constant growth of relations between Sri Lanka and India," unquote. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said that if the three pairs of relations can promote each other through sound interactions, it will benefit regional peace, stability and development.
On to a developing story this evening, with the UN Human Rights Council deciding to postpone the publication of the report of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights Investigation on Sri Lanka, or OISL, the focus is now shifted to the Sri Lankan government.
What does the postponement of this report mean for the government, and what steps must and will government take in the 6-month time frame? Newsfirst sought answers.
The US-sponsored resolution on Sri Lanka at the UN Human Rights Council in March last year mandated the OHCHR to conduct an investigation on alleged war crimes committed during the conflict in Sri Lanka and to submit a report to the Council. Prince Zaid Rad Al Hussein, who succeeded Navi Pillay as the UN Human Rights Chief, said the OISL report would be submitted in March this year. On the 9th of January, Sri Lanka ushered in a new head of state and a new government. Among the first foreign representatives to visit the country under the new government were from the co-sponsors of the resolution, the US and the UK. Both the US Assistant Secretary of State, Nisha Biswal, and the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Office Minister, Hugo Swire, stressed that they welcomed the new government and hoped that it would move forward on reconciliation. On Monday, Zaid Al Hussein, in a letter to the President of the UN Human Rights Council, recommended the postponement of the publication of the OISL report on a request made by Sri Lanka. We questioned Cabinet spokesperson Minister Rajitha Senaratne on what sort of request was made and what steps Sri Lanka would take in the 6 months.
The extension given is a very good, very big victory for Sri Lanka, because we always maintained, even in our manifesto we said, we are against an external inquiry, that we will have our own inquiry according to our norms, but to the international standards, to the international norms. No, they will not come here in the next 6 months. We will have our own investigation, something like LLRC, and to show the true picture of this thing. Because when the internationally, they have only think about the human rights. Why this had taken place? Were there any reasons for that? Also, we can add into our from our inquiry. And not the fresh investigation, we have gathered a lot of information. The LLRC also has gathered information. We will have to collect all that and investigate and see whether there were any war crime taken place in this country.
Meanwhile, Hugo Swire urged all sides to continue to work together to ensure that the OHCHR's report on Sri Lanka, now due in September, is thorough and consistent. Speaking the day after the Human Rights Council agreed to defer publication of the report, Swire welcomed the opportunity for contribution from the Sri Lankan government and restated the UK's commitment to seeing this report published. He said, quote, "In the meantime, the new government of Sri Lanka must use this time to work with the High Commissioner and his office and to engage with the broadest possible spectrum of civil society groups within Sri Lanka in order to make progress on reconciliation, accountability and human rights." Unquote. Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon has stressed the importance for Sri Lanka to show firm commitment to accountability, reconciliation and human rights. Farhan Haq, the deputy spokesman for the UN Secretary-General, said at the Daily Noon press briefing that the UN remains committed to support Sri Lanka's efforts to address the post-war agenda. The TNA, which supported Maithripala Sirisena at the presidential election, also lobbied for the prompt release of the OISL report in the past. Where do they stand now?
It is our position that the truth must come out. And unless the truth comes out absolutely, there is no prospect of genuine reconciliation between the different peoples who live in Sri Lanka. And we were of the view that therefore the report should come out. But the High Commissioner has taken a decision based upon the request of Sri Lanka that the release of the report be postponed. They have given him an undertaking that they would conduct a domestic investigation with international support. But the main thing is that as far as the report of the international investigation is concerned, by requesting that the report be postponed, they have agreed to that report becoming available, being made public at some time in the future, in terms of the High Commissioner's decision from 6 months from now.
Gehan Gunathilaka is the co-author of Verite Research's LLRC Implementation Monitor. He opines that the postponement of the publication of the OISL report is neither a victory nor a loss for Sri Lanka.
I think the High Commissioner will use this period as an opportunity to gather more information that could be added to his report. So it's really not a win-lose situation. It could be a win-win situation. But of course the caveat here is that it all depends on the good faith commitment to follow through on some of the promises that the government has made in the recent past.
The UNHRC adopted 3 successive resolutions on Sri Lanka during the term of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. The current regime has promised to accelerate reconciliation efforts and address outstanding human rights issues. Many questions still remain on what the coming 6 months will bring.
The rally organised under the theme, "Are you prepared to make the country victorious with Mahinda?" was held in Nugegoda today.
The rally was held at the Ananda Samarakona Open Air Theatre in Nugegoda. The rally was jointly organised by the National Freedom Front, the Mahajana Eksat Peramuna, the Pivituruhela Urumaya and the Democratic Left Front. Leaders of these parties including Vimal Weerawansa, Vasudevan Anayakkara, Dinesh Gunawardena and Udegaman Pilla were in attendance at the rally. Western Province Chief Minister Prasanna Ranatunga, Provincial Minister Nimal Lanka, Geethanjana Gunawardena, NFF Media Spokesperson Mohammad Musamil, Professor Nalin De Silva, Dr. Dayanjaya Tilaka, Western Provincial Councillor Sisira Jayakodi, Roger Senviratna and Kalaniya Pradesh Sabha Chairman Prasanna Ranavira were also present.
මේ ජාතික ආණ්ඩුව කියන්නේ හැමදාම දක්ෂිණාංශික බලය විසින් මේ රටේ ජනතාව තමන්ගේ නියෝජිතයින් හරහා උන්ගේ වියගහට වැන්නගත්තු උපක්‍රමයක්. ජාතික ආණ්ඩුව යෝජනාව කාගෙන්ද ආවේ?
Who made the proposal for a national government? Ranil Wickremesinghe. Soon after the presidential election, Ranil Wickremesinghe gave possession of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party to his candidate.
ජනාධිපතිවරණයෙන් පසුව ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ අයිතිය එයාගේ අපේක්ෂකයාට ලබා දුන්නා. එයාගේ අපේක්ෂකයාට ලබා දුන්නා ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ අයිතිය.
Then they started looking for cars and other goods.
මේ තමයි ජාතික ආණ්ඩුව හැදීමේ උපක්‍රමයේ ක්‍රමදානය. සහන
They are giving us concessions and we will take all of those concessions.
ඔක්කොම දන්නවා ඡන්ද ගුණ්ඩු බව. අපට දින 10 මොනවද දුන්නේ? මොනවද දුන්නේ?
What did they give us in these 100 days? What did they give us? They took over the legislative power in parliament.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ මොකක්ද තියෙන බලය? බහුතර බලය.
A statement reportedly from former President Mahinda Rajapaksa was read out at this rally by Dr. Diane Jayatilaka.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ ප්‍රමුඛ එක්සත් ජනතා නිදහස් සන්ධානය. එය හුදෙක් නායකයින්ගේ පමණක් දේශපාලන සන්ධානයක් නොවේ.
The SLFP-led United People's Freedom Alliance is not merely an alliance of political leaders. It is a broad-based collective of people who love this country. I extend my best wishes to this endeavour taken by parties in the alliance to renew and represent the hopes of this wave of people who had to face the unpleasant experience of being removed from power. I extend my best wishes while once again bowing my head in deference to the victories the country has achieved through the alliance's politics.
At a media briefing convened by the Unity Through Power Devolution movement today, views were expressed on the rally held in Nugegoda.
දැන් ඩිව් ගුණසේකර සහභාගී වෙන්නේ නැහැලු. මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ සහභාගී වෙන්නේ නැහැලු.
They say that neither DEW Gunasekara nor Mahinda Rajapaksa will participate. Everyone in the SLFP have been instructed not to participate at the rally. Who are the 5 people who organize this rally? Bimal from Tumulla, who is not to be seen day and night. Then we have Gamman Pilla, DEW Gunasekara, Tissa Vitarana and Vasudeva Nanayakara. This meeting has been taken away from the political grounds and brought to grounds based on racism. We see on the internet pages urging people to rise against the mosque in Kuragala and rise against Azad Saleh. They are inviting everyone to Nugegoda. The 5.8 million voters who cast their vote for Mahinda Rajapaksa were told to rally to bring Mahinda back to politics. But now they are calling this crowd to gather in Kuragala. There are 5 political parties attending this rally, and we challenge Vimal to gather 5,000 people if he can. This isn't a political rally. This is a rally to gather people as preparation to attack the minorities.
මේක සුළු ජන කොටස් පාර ගන්න සූදානම් කරන රැස්වීමක්. මේ රටේ සිංහල ජනයා, දෙමළ ජනයා, මුස්ලිම් ජනයා අත් බැඳගෙන
The Sinhala, Tamil and Muslim communities in this country must join hands and put a stop to this. I would like to state that the time for this has come. We cannot lose this golden opportunity. We cannot let the future of this country be destroyed just for the sake of people like Mahinda, Vimal Veeravangsa, Dinesh Gunawardana or Gamman Pilla wanting to come to power. I am very disappointed about my dear friend Vasudeva Nanayakara. How can he even sit there?
වාස්දේව නානයක්කාර එතුමා කොහමද වාඩි වෙන්නේ?
In more local news, Sri Lanka Cricket announced this evening that the annual general meeting and election of new office bearers for SLC will be held on the 30th of April. SLC stated that the Minister of Sports and Tourism had given his concurrence to a request made by the SLC Exco to hold the meeting on the 30th of April in view of the ongoing World Cup.
The Colombo High Court ordered the Attorney General today to inform the court if the case filed against General Sarath Fonseca on the charge of harbouring army deserters is to be continued. When the case was taken up today, attorneys representing Fonseca submitted the prosecution has insufficient evidence to continue with this case.
When the case was taken up today, attorneys representing General Sarath Fonseca submitted that the case had been continued for this long for political advantage. The attorneys for the defence also informed court that they hope to make representations to the Attorney General on behalf of the first and second defendants in the case. The court ordered that it be informed on the 4th of March as to whether the case will be continued in line with the observations of the Attorney General.
We are still facing the results of the unjust and atrocious procedure against us. No one is interfering with the law now. If we have committed a crime, then punish us. We are not afraid. We will face the law and wait to see how soon justice will be served.
Fonseca also spoke on the current status of his seat in Parliament.
I will not grovel and kneel to get a parliament seat for 2 to 3 months. If I did not kneel before the brutal ruler who was Mahinda Rajapaksa, then I am certainly not prepared to kneel out of greed for a parliamentary seat. In another 4 to 5 months, I will definitely enter Parliament with the people's blessings and serve the people. My parliamentary seat was taken away through a lawless procedure. Therefore, we will take legal action.
United National Party parliamentarian Palitha Thevarapperuma was released from remand custody today on strict bail conditions. Bail was granted when the MP was produced before the Matugama Magistrates Court today.
MP Palitha Thevarapperuma was remanded after being produced in court on charges of making a UPFA representative kneel in the Aglavatta town in Matugama. After he was produced in court, it was ordered that the MP's passport be surrendered to court. He was also ordered to place 2 sureties of 50,000 rupees each. The case will be taken up again on the 28th of April.
I did this for the party. This happened to me after I went there to protect someone, not to attack someone. They harassed me a lot for this.
Meanwhile, 6 persons, including veteran actress Sonia Dissa, who were remanded on the charges of trespassing at the office of the New Samasamaja Party in Slave Island, were released on bail by the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court today. Hearings of the complaint are to be taken up again on the 27th of April. The magistrate also ordered the police to record a statement from the NSSP leader, Dr. Vikramabahu Karunaratne. The magistrate also ordered the police to conduct inquiries from Sonia Dissa regarding the tax evidence and ownership of the land and submit a report to court. It is a very happy day for me today. I was blamed and arrested falsely, but the court has given a correct decision.
Anyone can say that they own this, but I know that I have been here for 40 years. Anyone can say that they own it, but they must prove it. So we call on her to bring the documents proving ownership and go to court.
Sonia Dissa also lodged a complaint with the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka today, claiming the police had not enforced the law fairly. A fundamental rights petition filed by Kumar Gunaratnam, the leader of the Frontline Socialist Party, seeking leave to remain in the country until he secures citizenship, was quashed today. The petition was considered by a 3-member bench comprising of Chief Justice Keshri Pavan and Justices Priyasad Depp and Eva Vanasundara. Representing Kumar Gunaratnam in court today, President's counsel Ramesh De Silva submitted that his client is a citizen of Sri Lanka. He added that Gunaratnam had fled to Australia and obtained citizenship. There were political reasons and due to death threats against him at home, but that he had visited Sri Lanka from time to time. Representing the state, Deputy Solicitor General Viraj Dayaratna pointed out that Kumar Gunaratnam had left the country using a false name.
Tensions broke out when the Western Provincial Council convened today as views were being expressed on Kolonnaga.
He was asked to visit the CID on 2 occasions and was questioned before being sent away. We have an issue as to whether this process is taking place properly. Why cannot he be interrogated after being arrested?
Additional Solicitor General Sarat Jaimana was sworn in as a President's Counsel today.
The swearing-in ceremony, which was held at the Supreme Court, saw the attendance of a group including Additional Solicitor General Sarat Jaimana's relatives.
I may have been involved in several landmark cases, criminal prosecutions, but it was the former Attorney General and the present Attorney General and all other officers. They gave me the necessary support to bring justice. I must thank them.
Additional Solicitor General Sarat Jaimana received his primary education at the Telbenia Dumbara College and secondary education at St. Anthony's College, Kandy. Jaimana, who has served at the Attorney General's Department as a prosecutor for 26 years, received his master's degree from the University of Oxford and also possesses a bachelor's degree from the University of Sri Jagadhanapura. Additional Solicitor General Sarat Jaimana was involved in several landmark cases which caused much controversy in the country.
In business news, the National Trade Union Centre, convening a press conference today, explained the process the government has undertaken with regard to providing a raise in wages for the public sector.
The 5,000 rupees that will be given in February is not a salary increase. It has been termed an allowance that does not fall within the basic salary. This is wrong. This is not what was said. The budget that was presented by Minister Rajapaksa saw an inclusion of 3,000 rupees to the salary as an interim allowance. That 3,000 rupees has been considered by this government as an allowance that is being given by them. That is why they said that from June another 2,000 rupees will be included, adding that it will be 10,000 rupees. This government will be in power only until the 23rd of April. This government has no right to say that the next government will provide 2,000 rupees.
Concessions provided through the budget were criticized at this press conference.
Why is the price of rice not being reduced? Because there are no taxes for rice in the country. Therefore, the government needs to intervene separately to reduce the price of rice. Although the price of paddy is 50 rupees, there is no proper mechanism for it. These are mere false statements. They have no program to implement it. When the price of a kilogram of paddy is 50, the price of a kilogram of rice is 100 rupees. This is according to market values. If you watched the news yesterday, you might have noticed that there is an issue with cement. A discussion had taken place, but there has been no implementation.
The 172nd workshop organized under the Newsfirst classroom program to enhance media literacy and leadership skills among school students was held at the Provincial Central College in Kirinda today.
The Newsfirst team, which travelled across the country educating school students on media literacy, was extended a warm welcome upon their arrival at the Provincial Central College in Kirinda. Students were provided an understanding on communications and new technology via the use of practical activities.
The children were given a good understanding of how to filter what they hear and see through the media. At the same time, it was a good extracurricular activity for them. I thank the director of the Sirisa Media Network and the staff who came here today for this undertaking. I'm very thankful to Sirisa for coming to a school like ours in the Mathura district and educating us.
I extend my best wishes to Sirisa in the hope that they will visit other schools like ours and carry out similar programs.
The Epidemiology Unit of the Ministry of Health has classified the Veeragula area in Gampa as a high-risk area for rat fever. 2 deaths have been reported so far from the area, and 16 others who had contracted the disease are receiving treatment at the National Hospital.
The Epidemiology Unit believes that the disease is being spread from a paddy land named Seruvilla located in the area. According to reports, all those who had fallen ill play in this area on a daily basis. Our correspondent said that the Seruvilla paddy land is currently inundated with floodwaters which flowed downstream after the Attanagalu Oya broke its banks as a result of the heavy rains experienced in the recent past. This had attributed to a high number of visits by children who arrive here to catch small fish and play. 2 persons from Virugala had fallen victim to this disease. 16-year-old Sachin Eranga was admitted to the Gampaha General Hospital on Friday with a fever and a headache. Later, he was transferred to the Ragama Teaching Hospital for treatment and breathed his last on Sunday. 23-year-old Kushan Pushpakumara too, who suffered from fever, was admitted to the National Hospital on Sunday. 2 days later, he passed away. According to our correspondent, as of last evening, 5 children were admitted to the National Hospital with fever and 2 of them remained in the hospital this morning as well.
Almost all the children who went to the field with him are at the Colombo hospital. He went there on the 1st. He got a fever 2 weeks later.
The director of the epidemiology unit of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Paba Paliwadana, speaking to Newsfirst, said that in order to prevent the disease from spreading, persons associated with paddy fields and wetlands must consult a doctor or the PHI of the area. Rat fever is spread by a bacteria through rats and other rodents. So far, 33 persons have been diagnosed with the disease in the Gampaha district alone.
Sajid Premadasa, the Minister of Housing and Samurdhi, says that an insurance and pension scheme would be introduced for craftsmen in the country. The minister made this statement during an event organized at the BMICH in Colombo last evening.
The inaugural ceremony of the annual sessions of the Sri Lanka Institute of Architects was held last evening at the BMICH. A distinguished gathering including Ministers Sajid Premadasa, Navin Dissanayaka and Rauf Hakim as well as internationally renowned architects were present for the event.
We propose to embark on a survey and registration system for craftsmen immediately and focus on establishing an insurance scheme, a pension scheme for them. In addition, we will revamp the programs for training craftsmen. We also propose to launch a program for registering building material suppliers and transporters and the like who provide an input to the industry. These new initiatives are to be supported by a web-based information sharing system for construction industry stakeholders. We have to strengthen conservation of resources at all levels, both preventive and remedial, aimed at minimizing physical degradation of land and eliminating pollution. I intend to ensure that you architects, who are a great strength and a resource to our nation, actively participate in the developmental effort that we have undertaken through our ministry, specifically the 50,000 housing program, which we intend to initiate within the first 100 days.
Minister of Urban Development Rauf Hakim noted that the assets management and disposal process of the Ministry of Urban Development will be re-examined.
Plans are obviously useless unless they are implemented properly. We will re-examine our pipeline of state-funded projects and streamline and prioritize them. We will finish what we have already started, and going forward will ensure investments are more focused and grounded in the realities of an integrated development strategy, one designed to encourage rather than compete with the private sector. We will reconsider our asset management and disposal processes. We will strive to bring in greater private sector participation, competition, professionalism and transparency in this area as well.
Individuals who performed exceptionally well at the Sri Lanka Institute of Architects were presented with awards and mementos at the event.
Bangladesh proved to be too strong for Afghanistan, who made their cricket World Cup debut today in Canberra.
On paper, it's a pretty comprehensive win for Bangladesh, but Afghanistan proved to be a disciplined team, causing a certain amount of trouble for the Bangladeshis with the ball.
Deciding to bat first, Bangladesh looked for a flying start. However, the opening pair's dominance at the crease was split by Mirwais Ashraf, sending back Tamim Iqbal for 19. Bangladesh then lost the wickets of Anamul Haq for 29, Soumya Sarkar for 28 and Mahmudullah for 23. A strong middle-order partnership between Shakib al-Hasan and Mushfiqur Rahim caused frustration for the Afghanis, hammering them all over to cruise past 200. However, after the fall of the pair, Bangladesh looked shaky and were bundled out for 267 in their 50 overs.
Done by Afghanistan, yes. Bangladesh all out, which is kind of an achievement.
Playing in a World Cup for the first time in history, Afghanistan was set a target of 268 and lost their first 3 wickets in the first 3 overs. Mashrafe Mortaza dismissed Javed Ahmadi for 1 in the first over, and then Rubal Hussain got the better of Ashraf Zazari in the second over. Frustrations did not stop there, as Asghar Stanikzai was sent back to the pavilion in the third over. Though wickets began to fall, middle-order batsmen Samiullah Shinwari and Mohammad Nabi fought back against the Bangladesh bowling. However, Bangladesh proved to be more dominant with the ball grabbing wickets in between overs.
Well, that's going to be out as well, yes!
It was all over as confusion broke out between the last Afghanistan pair, resulting in a run-out and giving Bangladesh a win by 105 runs.
Well, that's an upset. First win for Bangladesh.
Well, on that note, we wrap up the news tonight. Thank you very much for joining us for the Newsfirst team. I'm Joel Outscourt.
And I'm Lahina Bongzo. Take care and good night.